And welcome to the Cardinals Nest. Today we bring you a special Cardinals Nest 2.0 where we bring on alumni of St. Mary's University and get caught up with what they're doing, relive their athletic playing days here at St. Mary's and find out more about them. My name is Dean Beckman. I'm the faculty athletics representative for St. Mary's. My co-host, as always, is Donny Nadeau, our sports information director. And today we bring on Jake Mencacci. Jake is assistant coaching and player development for the Pittsburgh Pirates now, and 2018 St. Mary's graduate. He was a baseball player when he was here. So Jake, welcome back, at least virtually, to St. Mary's.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Jake, very excited, and I'm hoping by the end of this 25 minutes that you've got at least one good Coach Winicki story that I can save and have in my quiver when I want to get Winicki.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll be thinking.
Well, Jake, why don't I get started? And I think usually when we do these, we kind of jump into what what it was like to be an athlete here, but really. Right now, I'm extremely curious to hear what you've done since St. Mary's, because I think that there are a lot of baseball fans, baseball players who are pretty jealous of the position that you have right now.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'll do my best to try and navigate the last 3 or 4 years. Can't believe it's been that long already, but I got the job with the Pirates in December, my senior year. And there's some stories written about it. It was just kind of came out of nowhere. Didn't anticipate it. I had no connections in professional baseball. And a lot of times that's kind of how you work your way in. So interviewed for the job, got it in December of 2017, graduated in 2018. And then right after graduating, I went down to Florida. And that's where I joined up with the Pirates and the minor league system, and broke camp after extended spring training with the West Virginia Black Bears. So that's our short season A-ball club with the Pirates, and spent that summer in Morgantown, West Virginia. And there I was kind of an admin role. I got to do a little bit of everything. My coach, Kyron Madison, who was our high manager this year, let me do a lot. So I ran the team travel. I did a lot of the advanced scouting reports, helped with some of the analysis of players, and then some of the ugly stuff that needs to get done that nobody really sees. And that's player transactions and who's going where and when and how. And then also got to coach first base a little bit on the road and catch some bullpens. So was pretty fortunate there. 2019, I was in Greensboro. And in 2018, they had 2 roles, kind of administrative help for the teams. And one was a video assistant who handled a lot of like the game charting. And then the operation assistant, which is the role I had, they merged those 2. So it was pretty insane, to be honest with you. Going into it, I had no idea that I was going to be able to do it. But so I had all the administrative duties, all the player transactions, and some of the analysis and advanced scouting, as well as now the video side of everything. So it's charting the game and then providing the players what they want from a scouting or from a training development perspective. It's a lot of dirty work, but somebody has to do it, and was super fortunate to be able to be in Greensboro, North Carolina. That was a brand new affiliate for us, and it was a fantastic experience. 2020, I was supposed to actually go to the Dominican Republic and be there and kind of help with some of the technology and some of the video, and still learn more about the administrative side of the game. But then a little thing called COVID happened, and that got banged. So was at home watching the draft, the Major League draft in 2020, and started to hear some rumors about Major League Baseball getting, brought back up to speed. So ended up that being the case. You had your Major League season, and then you had an alternate site. And at the alternate site, that was kind of your 4A, AAA guys who were in limbo and training for if and when a player got injured with the Major League club. So that was in Altoona for us. It was 99 miles away from Pittsburgh. You had to be within 100 miles of the stadium, like your home team's professional stadium. So there I was actually the bullpen catcher. So that was kind of my official title. You had to have like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 titles. And that was legitimately what I was there to do, but also got to do some more administrative work and some more technology work, some more analytics work, And it was the best summer ever because, I got to wake up to no alarm, and, we practiced midday. I got to catch in some live simulations. Like it was insane. And then, so that was great. Finished that up, went into the off season, and in 2021, I became the fellow of player development. So the idea behind that was I was going to take a step away from affiliated ball and was going to learn more about, the high end administrative work of, more so player development than anything. So be around some contracts, be around some e-biz type work, working with the Major League office, stuff like that. So in Major League camp, I was, the fellow, and was doing a lot of different things. We're still short staffed because of COVID. We can only allow, a certain amount of people in, and was fortunate enough to get promoted to assistant coaching player development then, and broke there and went to the alternate site again. So to start this year, we had a Major League season in an alternate site. Was coordinating that, went on the road a few times. That was an experience in and of itself, getting to deal with COVID and some of those travel precautions while also still trying to play baseball in empty stadiums. And then came back to Florida after that, disbanded in the minor league season started. Was going to be in Florida to fulfill my role this year. And then our pitching analyst in Pittsburgh was also a pitcher for Team Israel. And he went over to Japan to pitch for them, Jeremy Bleich, and they needed somebody to fill in on the Major League staff. So I was called upon to help out there on a temporary basis, just to go in, fill that void, help out as much as I can, provide a lens that only I could provide. And that went great. Had an absolute blast. It was a dream to be on the Major League staff and to assist any way I possibly could. Jeremy came back and was fortunate enough to stick around and helped out with a lot of the advanced scouting and did some pitching and defense analysis and helped out anywhere I could. So I know I took up a lot of time there, but that's kind of, my journey thus far.
No, that's great, Jake. And I think
go ahead, Dean.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's a really great example, Jake, of how, students who are in college now and those getting ready to graduate from college, you have to be flexible, right? You have to be flexible in lifestyle, in what you're willing to do and what you're able to do for an organization, because what you just talked about, you've done a lot of things in a very short period of time, right? And your willingness to be able to do them kind of sets you apart a little bit.
I'd like to think so, Dean. My dad always says, he was a Marine Corps officer. He always says Semper Gumby, and it's, do what you need to when you need to. When you're called upon, you need to do the job and you need to excel at it. I was at 100 plus nights at a Marriott hotel this year, so I'm like titanium elite or something like that. But no, I'd like to think that that's part of the value I provide is just, doing what is needed when it is needed. That comes at a cost, right? Like 100 plus nights in a Marriott is great. Love that I can, go on a pretty much a free vacation at this point, but there's pros and cons to everything. And, but no, it was an incredible year. It has been an incredible 4 years, and the Pirates have treated me incredibly well. And, the staff I've been able to work with and the people that have helped me along the way, it's incredible.
Can you talk a little bit, Jake, about how your time at St. Mary's kind of prepared you, or at least helped benefit what you're doing now? And obviously, you said you got to do a little bullpen catching, you had to do a little catching. So obviously, your time with Coach Winicky and the baseball team paid off. But talk a little bit about the classroom as well, and how you how that prepared you for what you're doing now.
Yeah, I chose St. Mary's ultimately, Donny, for the academics and athletics. Like it was the balance that I needed and wanted. More power to people who can be in a lecture hall of 300 plus people, but I'm not a good enough test taker. I'm not a good enough student to do that. And that's what really, really intrigued me about St. Mary's is I needed some extra assistance, and the professors were incredible. And that was also the beauty of Coach Winicky. He stressed academic and athletic performance. And, I think about this a lot, right? And I know St. Mary's was one of the best decisions, if not the best decision I've made thus far in my life. But, being able to get involved not only right away on the baseball program and try and find a role and fill a role there and have that change from year to year, right? Like my playing career it was what it was, right? Like started great, and some things happened that were and were not in my control that I had to find roles, and that's what you have to do in the real world, and also outside of the classroom, right, and off the baseball field, the extracurriculars. Like how was I able to get involved and try and deal with real world problems, so to speak, and deal with people and try and get my hands on budgets, just to learn how money works, and how best I can serve myself and an organization whenever I start to work, whenever after graduation.
So I've got to ask, and I'm sure that it's been a whirlwind for you, but were you able to follow the Cardinals at all this last baseball season with the run that they made, and kind of your reaction to them making it to the national tournament?
Oh yeah, for sure. Was always checking Twitter, was always checking the live streams. I think one thing that was unique when I played was when we had alums come back and speak to us. They would always say they kept an eye on us, and I always believed it. But I don't know if I necessarily, I don't know, because I would be charting a game or doing something literally like that moment, but also have the Cardinals game on my other computer. And it's something like you always want to leave the jersey better than you found it. And I took that very seriously. And that's something that Coach Mencacci always talks about. And the guys that graduated this year and the year before that and the year before that, like they did that. And that's something that all alumni are really, really proud of, at least from a baseball perspective. A little bit jealous that they have a brand new clubhouse and 3 sets of jerseys and this, that, and the other thing. But incredible run, really proud of everybody. Weinberg, Zach Drake, Joey Costello, guys that I was able to play with, and we knew they were special, but great run. And you know what? They're only going to get better and better.
Jake, maybe take us back to your playing days a little bit. What are some of your favorite memories when you were on the team?
So was talking about this the other night, actually. When we beat St. Thomas in the first game of the MIAC championship, and I think it was 2015, I feel really bad still about this, but I was catching Steph Skatasa. And the conversation came up because we were watching the National League Championship Series, and we were talking about like the whiteout on the catcher's fingers. And one of my favorite but painful moments is I called a curveball, or Coach Oakes called a curveball, and Steph threw pretty dang hard. And it was like 7:30 at night, and this guy just whipped a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and just smoked the umpire right in the chest. And I turn around, and he's just right on his butt, and I felt terrible. But like couldn't help but laugh a little bit because he felt good. His name was Sam. Really good dude. So that was definitely one of my favorite memories. I think, also beating St. Thomas my senior year, I think it was 1 or 2-0. Ryan Wolf threw an absolute gem. But then also like going to Florida every year, super fortunate to do that, and got to see the guys play in Florida a few years ago. That's a really great experience. And leaving the ballpark after sweating out 6 or 7 pounds, and you got the red clay all over your jerseys. And so those are some of my favorite memories. I'm missing a bunch, but those are the ones that stick out I've thought about recently.
Jake, you talked a little bit about how you've gotten to stay in a hotel for 100 days, but talk a little bit from a player standpoint, the importance of that trip to Florida. Because I know when I used to travel with the baseball team, there's a lot of guys that really, you don't know each other very well, but yet after that 10-day stretch, you're like, it is a family. And it seems like that trip is really important, not only for the games you play, but for just kind of the continuity and how you kind of get together as a group.
No doubt. I mean, you're cooking for each other. So you learn about one another really quick. And I was sleeping in the same bed as Connor Christensen, my junior year, his senior year. Right. And what was really fun is some other teams started to stay at the facility that we would stay at down there the last few years. And, we'd be playing volleyball against one another. So we'd be playing each other that day and then going back later that night and continuing to compete. But, when you get to travel with people and you get to see them off the field and you get to see multiple personalities, you get to know who they really are, right? Like a lot of times, switches are flipped when you get on the field, or for me, like the best competitors have switches that are flipped. And for me, the joy of being on a team is not only the competitive aspect of it, but it's also learning who people are and who humans are at, at their core, right? And I'm about to go to Joe Cleve's wedding here in a little bit, and he's one of my best friends. But like all those relationships were built on the baseball diamond, and it's special, it's unique, and I encourage anybody who has the opportunity to play a sport at any level to do so.
This is going to be an odd question, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I look at the job that Coach Winicky has done. And, this last year he had 55 guys on his roster, and yet he finds a way to make everybody have a good experience. And, you had mentioned that your role changed from the time you stepped on as a freshman to the time you left as a senior. How does he do it? How does he keep everyone happy? And maybe he doesn't. Maybe underneath their breath, they're not happy. But it seems to me like he's got a way of keeping peace among the players. And only 9 play,
Right.
and you've got 45 guys that are watching.
Right. I think my mind goes to 2 places. It's a really good question. I think number 1, winning cures a lot. When you're winning, a lot of everything else, outside talk, inner talk, it goes by the wayside. And number 2, it comes from your upperclassmen. What standards do they set, right? When they immediately come in as freshmen, what messages are being sent to them and trickled down to them, right? Because whether we like it or not, there's some difference between, a 20-something-year-old and an 18-year-old, however much we want to talk about family, and it is. But life experience happens and differences happen. But I think he does a really good job of identifying and connecting with really, really good people, and he lets them do the work. He trusts in the people that he recruits. He trusts in the people that he puts in situations to perform and produce, and that trickles down. So then it's the next man up type mentality. And leaving, like I said earlier, it's really important to leave the jersey in a better spot than you found it. And that's one thing that I think the St. Mary's baseball program does a really good job of.
Jake, what was your reaction when you heard the news that TJ Oakes was leaving St. Mary's to take a head coaching spot, which obviously was a goal of his?
I think number 1, I can't say enough about the human. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about the guy and talking about him. He did so much for me, and the amount of times I would just sit in his office and just talk to him, I can't count. The amount of times guys would just go in and just lay it all out there to him, and he would just sit and listen. Can't count. I think from a human perspective, one of the best people you will ever meet. From a baseball perspective, I couldn't find a better person to lead a program that has a wide variety of talents and skills than TJ. I think he's going to be an unbelievable head coach. I think he's going to be an unbelievable mentor, and I cannot wait to see what he does, because it's going to be special. And anything I can do to support him, or anything any alum from St. Mary's that had him can do to support him, we will do.
Boy, Jake, you couldn't have put it better, because TJ is 1 in a million, and our loss certainly is Superior's gain. But I'm right there with you. If there's anything I could do for TJ, because he's done so much for everybody. Like you said, his door was always closed, but it was always open, and you could just walk in and sit down and chat with him, and he's gonna do great things at Superior, as long as they're not when they play St. Mary's. So
Exactly. I just hope you pack the cold weather gear.
So Jake, talk a little bit now. You had mentioned off camera that you get a little downtime here. When do things ramp up again, and what's the future look for you in terms of where you'll be next year?
So yeah, have some downtime right now. Everybody's kind of gone their separate ways and catching their breath. It was a really long summer. A lot of good came from it, but there was a lot of bad, certainly. When you lose 100 games, there's a lot of things you have to take a step back and adjust and learn and grow and ultimately perform in the future. But right now, we're looking at a summit coming up, a motor learning summit in the next few weeks. Actually, I think it's next week. And that's bringing in some scientists who are elite at coaching player development And that's our business, right? Human performance. So right now is the season of trying to learn, trying to grow, so we can pour better into the players that we serve. Beyond that, on the player development side, I know we have some camps coming up, a hitting camp, pitching camp. And if you look at our player development system, we're consistently rated in the top 5 of any ranking on Fangraphs, on Baseball America, on ESPN, you name it. So it's a really important offseason for us, trying to develop and put in processes that we're proud of. From my end, the good and bad thing about baseball is that there's a lot of change every single offseason. And, with my path this year, I think there's a little bit more uncertainty than there has been in the past. Just is it going to be player development? Will it be a continual of the major league staff? We will see. I do not know yet. Whatever I can do to help the Pirates, whether that's in the major leagues, in player development, I'm willing and able to do so. Time will tell, and then looking forward to some downtime and helping guys get better here the next few weeks.
Well, Donny, we have just a few minutes left. Donny, do you have a last question you'd like to
I
ask?
don't think I'm going to get a Winicky story out of him. I know Jake too well. I don't think that's going to happen. But Jake, we asked this question to a lot of alums, and that would be, especially because of the path that you took, what would be advice that you would give to an incoming freshman at St. Mary's, whether it be a student athlete or just a student in general? What would be a good piece of advice that they could take from you?
Oof. I think there's two things. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit here, Donnie.
All right.
I think number one, I think get involved. I think it's really, really important. That's one thing that really helped me, is like I was maybe a little too involved, but I'd rather be that way than not. Being able to help out with student athlete advisory committee, I think firmly, honestly, I think that is the one thing that really helped me in the interview process. So getting involved outside of the classroom, whether that's a club sport or just a general club, whatever. But that's how you make connections. And that leads me to my next point. And that's, you have to surround yourself with really, really good people. I surrounded myself really early with really good people. Joe Seegers, Alex Cleve, Joe Cleve, Bailey Mills, Dixon Irwin. Like, those guys are like my best friends. And, I'm about to see them here in a few weeks, and it'll be the first time I see them in a long time. And I cannot wait. So I would say get involved and make sure you surround yourself with really good people.
All right. That is, yep, absolutely. And say hi to the guys for us too.
Yeah. Will do.
All right. Jake Mencacci, our assistant coaching and player development for the Pittsburgh Pirates, 2018 alumnus of St. Mary's. Thanks so much for joining us on the Cardinals Nest today.
Thanks, Jake.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Jake Mencacci, everybody. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest.